Everybody else is mute. Sarah, you're live.
Okay. Well, hey, what's up, everybody out there in the Nerdverse? We're here at MaliceCast to talk to you about the Defenders. I know we're a little bit behind on this, but, you know, life gets in the way, and sometimes we just have other things that we need to cover first. So we're here to discuss with you the first 3 episodes. We're going to break this up for you so we don't hit you with a lot of information all at once. I've got with me quite a few people to talk about this with me. So first up, we got Epic Beard. We got the Big Papa Matt with us. What's up?
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody?
I know.
Shout out to Beacon in the chat.
He's got a lot to say about the Defenders. I've got Igor here with us. Looking forward to hear what he has to say. Oh, you're on mute. You forgot to unmute.
I will have the nice things to say.
Yes, he will. He's Mr. Pleasant. And then we've also got IC Zoro with us here, hopefully to say some nice things as well.
I have mostly nice things, a couple of bad things. So I'm going to balance it out.
Mostly nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to balance it out. There's going to be a little acidity thrown in here.
Well,
that's for sure.
Not everything was great. Mostly good.
No, but you know what? The day I see a perfect TV show, that's the day I know that hell froze over. So it's all good.
Well, then you already froze over because Breaking Bad was on TV at one point. So,
but you know, I didn't love all of Breaking Bad. I loved most of Breaking Bad, but I didn't love it all. So, I guess for me, it's still fiery hot down there in the pit.
Keeping warm for all of us. Keeping warm.
All right, so let's get this started. First thing, just before we even get into episodes 1 through 3. Episodes 1 through 3. Igor, which character stands out to you the best?
Ooh. It was actually Jessica for me, because as little action as she got to participate in, I really liked her almost audience surrogate role they put her into.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, she really didn't have, and was still very much stuck in that PTSD mindset of, okay, I'm no longer dealing with Kilgrave, but I'm dealing with the aftermath, and you don't really know. I mean, she was very much her character from her show. You know, she woke up in a bar, hungover as hell.
With no idea what time it was.
With no idea what time it was, and having to go face the day. The only difference basically was she was not taking any cases, just flat out not working.
Yeah.
All right, so what about you? What about you, IC?
I got to go with Luke Cage. I think he's the standout of, I want to say the whole series, but we're only talking 1 through 3. Luke is clear. He's focused. He seems to have had a very short finish to his prison stay. Because
that was a little bit abrupt, yeah.
I know, right? What did he have, like 3 months to go when he got out? Because but I mean, he gets back and he's got a purpose. You know, he wants to make things better in Harlem. He wants to figure out what Mariah's up to. He's got battles to fight, but first he's really got to see Claire.
He's got to see his girl. He's got to see the girl.
Yeah, got to break some furniture.
Luke, I think you're right. Luke definitely had the vision of what he wanted to do. There was no confliction in him whatsoever. I mean, Jessica, you can tell that she's torn up. She's not working. She's got the PTSD. Matt, same thing. He doesn't know what he's doing. I know what he thinks he's doing is the lawyer thing, and he thinks he's hung up the Daredevil, but there is conflict all over his life right now that he's not dealing with, that he's just avoiding. So definitely anyone with the purpose. We're not even going to talk about Danny right now, because that's just a hot mess. But as far as the purpose goes, you know, he's the only one that I can see right now that has the mindset of, I know what I'm going to do and I know how I'm going to do it.
As far as I'm concerned, he's the only character that came into it already sort of complete.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. I think he could. I mean, there's still a little bit of searching that he's doing, you know, after Pop's death, but
sure.
He's the most set. I think you're right now. What about you, Big Papa? What do you think?
Daredevil all the way. Charlie Cox is the best actor on this show by leaps and bounds by far. The thing I will have to say though is, I mean, we got, first of all, the chat channel is loving Daredevil. Jack is all about the man. But one of the big things, and what's up, Beth, Marley, everybody as well in the chat as well. Good to see you guys. I thought Luke Cage had a little bit better character development. I liked, especially in these first 3 episodes, I liked a lot of his story. I actually liked when he was by himself. I liked him going to the prison and visiting the kid and kind of his little section of all this. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, is I think Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones was the only one who could hold screen time with Charlie Cox. I thought she was the only one that when they were all together, when they were doing their thing, she was the only one that held her own against that. So Daredevil by far, Jessica Jones, when she was on screen, like she kept it going and she kept things kind of there. And yeah, I thought Luke Cage actually had a really good story. I thought the first part, especially of his story here, was better than most of his show in general.
I'm actually not going to lie, because while I did like the individual series of Luke Cage, it felt very it just didn't feel like he had a lot of character development. Like, why was he doing the things that he was doing? But here, it definitely felt better. And I think you're right, though. I think Daredevil did have the best. Seeing him as the public defender, you know, he's hung up the suit, so to speak. But has he really hung up the suit? I mean, he did more. Now we'll bring Danny into this, okay? Because my biggest problem with Danny is in the actor.
So here's the thing, though, with this. Is Daredevil was the only one who actually looked like he rehearsed his fight scenes. Everybody else was just hoping the other actors got out of the way of their fists. Like, Charlie Cox actually looked like he did a good job. And Beacon, thanks for getting Signal at the River. We appreciate you joining in with us, man.
How much of that was choreography, though? Like,
a lot of it was definitely choreography for sure. But the thing is during Daredevil fight scenes, it actually looked like things were in a fast-paced motion and they were moving. Where when they went to like an Iron Fist with Danny or even Luke Cage to an extent, but definitely slow. Jessica Jones, I mean, it was slow. I mean, you watch those punches miss.
Like, I didn't dislike it, so to speak, but it was slow. Like, it felt like, I don't know, like they were really trying to highlight, like, look at, you know, what they're doing, and I didn't get that. But to go back to the actor, Charlie Cox, I think that he did more with just his face or his expressions or his body movements than Danny Rand did at anything. Speaking, fighting. I mean, that scene where he's, to jump ahead to episode 2, but that scene after the earthquake where he's washing the blood off his hands in the sink after beating up the liquor store guy, and then he freaks out with the first aid kit and he's, you know, like, oh my God, like, what did I do? But he doesn't even say anything. You know, he tells it all with his hands in his face. And I thought that was great. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Marley and Beth also thought about, they loved some of the PTSD and Jessica Jones's development as well. So they're definitely on the Jones bandwagon as well for this too. So no, I think it's a great call. Go ahead, Pete. Sorry about that, man.
Oh, that's cool. Audience first. We love you guys. Please stay with us. But I would actually say that what you guys have been saying is why Daredevil and Iron Fist were awesome. Because look at each series and how we've had the characters developed. And even if you take problems with the flow of the action aside in Iron Fist, that kind of thing, just pure character development, Danny is the guy who's in a constant state of being lost. He is in a constant, it is driven home so hard that he's the guy who's in a near nonstop state of confusion because his world keeps getting upended for one reason or another, and
all dealing with the hand. I mean, what it comes down to is all dealing with the hand.
And he started off his story thinking, "Oh, it's all so simple." But on the other side, we have Daredevil, we have good old Maddie, who's hyper analytical, who we've had driven home that he is pondering all of it the entire time, especially his own actions. And so the fact that we get the best quiet moments and many of the best speaking moments with him is great. And, you know, honestly, I think Iron Fist, I think he was, you know, he stayed real solid and grounded into his story too. It was just a much simpler story. So yeah, it was much easier to not even notice that when you had Matt Murdock around.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Something that Jack just said in chat. He's Iron Fist fights are the same fight over and over. Get my ass kicked until I bust out the Iron Fist and win.
I can agree
he's
with
not
that.
wrong.
Yeah.
I will say that he was doing a little bit of good ass kicking in the beginning of that boardroom fight, and then he did end up getting his,
Even beyond before the boardroom him fighting Luke Cage was comical.
Oh my God.
In a great way.
In a great way.
He was windmilling at him, and then just nothing until he busts out the glowing metal hammer.
Yes.
Well, and what was weird is, watching Iron Fist, the show, is it felt like everybody around him's character got built more than him, because you talked about that constant state of flux, and he's always just kind of lost and lost and lost. So everybody around him, their stories went really well, and they moved really well. They got a lot of development from all of his side characters. And this is actually the first time in Defenders where his story actually moves forward. The problem is I don't want to see him on screen anymore because of having to sit there and go through Iron Fist and just kind of not enjoying his character in general, because he was so lost, like you talked about, in his own story. So it was really weird to kind of watch that character. Yeah, it was like, great, finally they can write this character a little bit better. The problem was where was that 12 episodes or 10 episodes ago on his own damn show? So.
And yet
yeah, it was a little rough.
While it doesn't make up for the sadly awkward pacing precisely because they succeeded in doing what they wanted to and give us awkward pacing with him, I thought that made the boardroom just that much more magical, because that's really the only point I can think of across his series and the Defenders series like the very first point I can think of across his series and the Defenders series where we see Danny completely focused. And because we've even seen the rage and whatnot, but you could tell he was unfocused even then.
That's a good point, where he was set in Zoom. I'm going to do this and I'm going to nail it. He didn't nail it, but he went in there with the mindset of, I'm going to nail this.
Angelica starts screwing with him, and you see him flinch a little bit, and then just go right back to, no, I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. And I'm sitting here thinking, yes, you are iron fisting. You keep iron fisting. Good.
Phrasing. Watch your phrasing.
Iron fist.
Oh, that's a bad mental image.
We're on the internet, and words have way too many meanings.
Yeah, they do. But we are going to agree. I think we can all agree, though. The first episode very much just all set up. You're reminding everyone where these characters were when we left off.
Where are they now?
And where are they now? And you're getting little tidbits on how each one is going to get drawn into dealing with the Hand. Even if they don't know they're going to be dealing with the Hand yet, they're all going to be dealing with the Hand, and how they get, drawn in. None of them meet, as far as I remember, in the first episode. It's the second episode where they all start to come together.
2 by 2.
Yeah, 2 by 2, and then 4 by 4. But yeah, so most of the first episode, all filler. I think for the most part, I really enjoyed just everyone's story, except, Danny and Colleen, it was a little bit, they're on their own. They get their thing to come to New York. So they're coming to New York, and they essentially, I guess the biggest thing about the first episode is we find out that Sigourney Weaver's character, whose name I cannot remember, Alexandra. There we go. Alexandra. She's dying.
I think I called her Angelica.
Right. She kind of looked like an Angelica. I don't know. I couldn't remember her name because they put her in these horrible clothes, and that's all I could remember about her. Great character. Great character. Loved the character. I thought she did great job. But what was that wardrobe? I don't even know.
I thought she looked like a Gucci stormtrooper. That too. That too.
So we find out that she's dying, right? She goes in for the MRI. She's dying. She decides, okay, it's time I don't want to die. I'm going to accelerate this plan, which is never a good thing. It's all going to go to crap when you accelerate things that you've been working thousands of years for. But this is
Archvillain 101. Never accelerate the plan and never explain it to anyone.
No. So that's the biggest takeaway from the first episode is they're going to accelerate the plan, and the first episode ends with the giant earthquake. Danny lands on the building with Colleen, gets out, and just sees New York erupt into chaos.
That was done
from the earthquake.
I loved that. That was done really well.
Yeah, I thought that was actually done really well. As well, it really gave impact. And the fact that when they flash in on that scene, Daredevil, he hears it coming. The dogs are barking, the birds are going insane, and then all of a sudden, just chaos just erupts.
Is it just
I liked?
Sorry,
go.
Would anybody have liked to have seen what an earthquake coming looked like to Daredevil? Because I know they've only done one, maybe two scenes where we see through his eyes. But like, can you imagine seeing what Daredevil sees when an earthquake is coming towards you? That would have been amazing.
I didn't even think of that. Yes. Yeah, missed opportunity. Holy crap. Yeah. Yes.
But I don't think he sees anything at that point, though, because there's so much noise and vibration that it's all a blur. That's why he's sitting there standing in a room by himself, trying to focus. Blur. Because there's nothing there to focus on, because there's so much noise, there's so much vibration, there's so much movement that there's no focus now. And that's why he's sitting there paralyzed by it, because he can't see anything. He can't feel anything like that.
I would have
actually,
liked to
I think that's where Zoro still...
his normal, sensory perception vision, but just with a rolling wall of noise coming towards him would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, have it melt into that noise, or
exactly.
Something like that. Although I have to say, on a separate note, and just as a note for later, the fact that a leader of the Hand greatly fears death ends up bothering me.
There's a reason for it, but we find that out later.
I know that reason bothers me.
We do find that out later. Well, you'll have to tell us what that is when we reach there. I did like too, the one other thing I can take away from the episode 1 was I liked seeing the side characters from each individual. Seeing Trish, seeing Jessica, dealing with Trish, seeing Foggy as super lawyer, slick back hair, looking all good. Seeing Karen, and Daredevil, or Matt, I'm gonna call him Matt because he's Matt right now. So Matt and Karen, reconnecting and starting to fix the things that were broken. Because that's the thing that pissed me off the most in season 2 of Daredevil. Wasn't the love triangle. It was the fact that they spent most of that season just all fighting with each other. And I hate when you spend a whole season with the main characters fighting. That's what's bugging me so much about Preacher is, Tulip, Cassidy, and Jesse. They're all just fighting. And it's like, okay, there needs to come a point where that stops. And it never stopped, So I'm glad to see them finally...
For extended takes on that, watch our actual Preacher cast. We do it on Monday after Preacher. We do it live.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you.
And it's always a good time.
Absolutely. We might get the caller back soon too. I think he said he might be in for this.
I'm hoping. I missed the Preacher caller.
I know these are all
Ethan,
Netflix, I know these are all Netflix, but man, like I want to see some special features for this stuff. I want to see the backstory. I want to see how they made this and how they made the decisions. And I'm pretty sure those are on
they're
the DVDs.
probably on
DVD. Our Amazon link.
No? Yeah, get on that.
Well,
get on the
our
Amazon link.
Yeah.
They're on the bottom of all our Defenders articles. You can pop on over to Amazon, get a little discount, get the behind the scenes footage. I know I'm going to do that because I seriously want some behind the scenes. I love if they got commentary tracks, I'm all over that. So
you guys reminded me of something I really want to check on that I forgot to check on. Who here noticed that the Daredevil the Daredevil seasons actually had not only subtitles, closed captioning, but also, I forget the proper name for it, but also the narration of every scene you can turn on for the visually impaired. And I forgot. I really wanted to check and see if they did that for Defenders too.
What do you mean by narration of every scene?
It's like, literally if you turn it on, there's a voice describing silence in every scene. Describing the silence in every scene.
Oh, that's nice.
It's literally it's not a joke. It's a real function. But I think they made very carefully sure of I feel like they made very carefully sure we're going to put that in. I don't even know if they put it in the other series. So I want to check on all the series, but. Yeah.
To borrow a phrase from Big Papa Matt's cast, I just got a nerdgasm over that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
That's
Exactly.
funny. I'm
Exactly.
gonna drop a couple things from the chat room over here real quick. Marley Boss says her biggest problem with Daredevil season 2 was that Elektra was a hot potato that needed to be dropped. And Ness says Foggy needs to get away from Hogarth, mainly because every time I hear Hogarth, I think Hodar. So we know where mess.
Hold the
mess mind
Garth.
is, and it-
Hold the Garth. Hold the Garth.
Hold the
No.
Garth. Hold the Garth. Oh, I will say though that Carrie Ann Moss is much prettier than the Hodar ever has a hope of being.
Christian Nairn.
But
come on, buddy.
Hodar has the kinder heart,
And he's a better
'cause
DJ.
Hogarth- yeah. So moving on to episode 2. Let's
Beacon
hit
would like
episode 2.
the voice descriptions, by the way, to be done by Morgan Freeman, so everybody can enjoy them. Everybody can enjoy the show that much more.
Yeah.
Danny turns
So-
on his iron fist.
In all seriousness, I don't know who the guy was, but he sounded awesome.
That's really cool.
That's true. That is true. So in episode 2, we get the meetups of the 2 and 2, like you pointed out. We get Luke Cage and Danny Rand interacting for the first time, and then we get Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock interacting for the first time. Not the way I thought they were going to go. I honestly thought they were going to go with Luke and Jessica meeting up because they already had the history. They already knew each other. And then that they were going to put Matt and Danny together. But so I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't go that way. And because like it was said, Jessica or Kristen Ritter did a really good job holding up with Daredevil. I do think she did the best job of standing toe to toe with him and staying her own character, in the scenes with him. So
Absolutely.
That was the
I
one
think that
interaction. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was the one interaction I was just really looking forward to. Marley will correct me on this if I get my own words wrong, but I believe my comment was, "Oh, they're going to be best friends. It's going to be great."
It did not start off that way with Luke and Danny. There was a lot of, misunderstandings, accusations thrown.
Who knows the books?
They don't like each other.
Who
knows the books?
Yeah, from what I've heard in the books, they're like pretty tight.
That would be Mr. Igor. Igor, do they become best friends after a while?
They absolutely do, and it's hard to spoil decades worth of comics, but yeah, suffice to say that first encounter is very much what their friendship is like. It's the style of friends they are.
Okay. That's good. Because it starts off rocky. We're not going to lie. Luke makes a lot of assumptions about Danny's character. Some maybe deserved, some maybe not deserved. We all have that, I think, as humans, where we meet someone and we have assumptions and we throw out some, you just start ranting and raving. And it may be true, it may not be true. But in this case, some of the things Luke says about privilege and, you're fighting a war against the grunts when you have the power to go up against the big wigs, and you're taking out people that you don't know what drove them to do this decision. You don't know what that kid was doing in the alley. You don't know why he made the choices he made, but you just see him as a part of this huge organization that's evil. Don't get me wrong, but the people that are doing this stuff that Cole was doing, they're not evil. They're just trying to make a living doing the only thing that they know how to do in a
They're just getting by.
City or in a community. Yeah, they're getting by in a community in Harlem. Let's face it, there are not a lot of opportunities in Harlem. It is the ghetto of New York, and you got to do what you got to do to put money on the table for your family, and he's trying to take care of his mama.
I like the fact that Luke pointed out, look, you could be affecting this whole conflict on a much larger scale. As you said earlier, like you're fighting grunts when you could be taking on bigwigs. Danny has the power, as many problems as I have with that character. He could literally be taking on that organization on an entirely different level. And I liked the fact that Danny kind of took what he said and went, huh, you're not wrong.
And he really does.
Big Papa. Oh, sorry, Igor. Go ahead.
No.
No, go ahead.
It is Matt's turn to shine.
You're gonna have something better than I got to say on that for sure. So go ahead.
I will relish this opportunity because it's not often I get to do that over Big Papa Matt. Well, telling you, man, it's like Captain America rallying the troops.
There you go.
But as for the show, I thought that beautifully illustrated what they did, how well they did stick with Danny's characterization. Because who else, not only who else but the person who's been completely distracted with a lot of good reasons from basically his entire life would say, oh crap, I am a multi-billionaire, aren't I? As well as the immortal Iron Fist. Huh. Yeah, I really can go after the big people.
It was something that didn't even occur to him at that point.
Exactly. And that's so consistent. It's even that specific point is so consistent from his show that, remember, he basically acts like he forgets that he has money and just that I got to go punch people. Mm-hmm. Like, not even that he's part of the corporation, but just that he's got a stupid amount of money. And it really was like, so they sold it really well, I thought, as Luke literally reminding him of that. Oh, right. I have been overlooking the obvious. Thanks. Gonna go punch people.
Yeah. And it did end up turning into a punching people situation. So it kind of failed but the fact that he did try, some of what Luke Cage said though was, maybe uncalled for. Okay. I'm not saying that he wanted to see that little kid arrested, but he doesn't see them as people. He sees them as part of the hand. And for Luke, they're very much people. These are his, the streets of Harlem are his, I don't want to say pride and joy, but they're like his family, they're his community. And he takes that very seriously. So to have someone like Danny come in who all he sees him as a white boy with privilege, and money, a billionaire, again, not knowing his story, he's just going to flip out and accuse him of things that maybe are not true. But it is true in the fact that Danny doesn't see them as people. He just sees them as a part of the thing that tore his family to shreds. And so they come at it with two very different frames of mind. I think Danny says it, you're not looking at the big picture. Okay, well, you're not looking at the people. And that's two very different frames of mind that they're coming in at. All right, you got something to say, Papa. I can see it.
No, I'm reading the chat over here, and people are just, they're a little all over the place with it. But the big thing is, Danny, I don't think, you can pull him as the rich white boy because he never was until, these final moments, right? Like he
wasn't, but but we know that, but Luke doesn't know that. Like, so that's why we can say, but Luke does. I mean, Luke's known him all of 5 minutes. All he knows him as is, okay, oh, you're the billionaire playboy, Danny Rand. You're like, it's very hard. He's
essentially Bruce Wayne for Marvel. Well,
Bruce Wayne. Oliver Queen. It's that when you don't know, and we do that as humans. We know one fact about someone and we judge their entire life based on that one fact. And it's a horrible thing to do. It's not a good thing to do, but unfortunately, I think we're all guilty of it at some point.
And as I said, even when Luke brings that up, Danny kind of sits back and thinks. He goes, "Wait, I have these resources. I hadn't even considered that. I don't want to repeat my point again, but he actually takes note of it and he acts on it later, which is kind of cool."
Yeah, and talking with you guys here has actually made me feel a lot better about that initial exchange. At first, it really was not something I was terribly fond of because I could find some merit in it, but just seemed jarring in the pacing and just how and just felt really out of nowhere. But
it did. Yeah.
It's not only a lot more digestible when you realize that, oh wait, yeah, we're literally being shown their first interaction. So Luke has no idea. And on top of that, Luke's not exactly like Wolverine for angry or or Spider-Man for depressed. But he does have a lot to be pissed off about, and but he does have a lot to be pissed off about personally. And like you guys were saying, he looks at the individuals as hard as he can and looks after everybody that he can. So it was another beautiful character piece, really, when you think about it, because Luke's sitting here saying, "What weren't you thinking about this kid?" And Danny legitimately was coming from, "I'm trying to take down an evil organization here, dude."
Yeah.
It's like priorities.
So of course, no, I wasn't wondering had he eaten enough today. I'm trying to. There's 1,000 assassins out there.
It's his mom worrying about daycare.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things, right? Like that's the different worlds these characters are in, though, right? Like Danny is at another level of if you want to talk about the Playboy billionaire, he's at a higher level. He's thinking of higher level things like this big overarching evil society, where Luke is on the streets and he's caring about the people in his neighborhoods more, right? Those are the people who are being affected by all of this to him. Where Danny's he really is looking out for himself and the people he's trying to protect, which is the Iron Fist and Kung Lun and all those things, right?
Yeah. Is it just me, or does every time they say Kun Lun, it sounds wrong in my head? I always think it should be Kun Lun, but they always say Kun Lun, and I'm like, yeah, come on.
I keep calling it Kun Lai, so I'm really wrong. But
that's not even the right letters.
No, it's not. But it's what's in my head, and that's what I keep calling it. So if I call it that again in the future, I apologize. I know what it is. I'm just going to say it wrong. I'm sorry.
As long as it sounds good.
But so then to switch.
Was it just one of those things where they said it so fast because they didn't know how to pronounce it? They just hoped they got it right. It was like one of those bad things on the test where they're just screaming.
I feel like yes.
Kun Lun got through once, and they're like, "All right, I guess it's Kun Lun now."
Yeah, there it was. Like, you know what? Let's just go with it. It'll be our own Defenders Netflix thing, and no one will see it.
You've got on the other side now. You've got Jessica has finally taken a case. She's looking for this missing architect. I can't remember the guy's name. But she's looking for the architect. She's actually starts the episode being investigated by the police because she's found all that C4 at the guy's hotel room, enough to level a city block. And she's been now dragged into this thing that she doesn't have any clue what's going on. And then you've got Matt, who's met up with Foggy. And Foggy has basically given him a bunch of cases to try and get his mind off playing Daredevil in this time of crisis, so to speak. So I'm going to give you busy work. And he's been kicking butt at it. In case you forgot, hey, he's actually a really good lawyer.
I loved getting to see him lawyer again.
And then you've got Jessica also again reuniting with Hogarth briefly. In case you forgot, she's still kind of a prick. She's still out for number one. She doesn't really care about Jessica in the end. It's just don't bring this trouble that you're finding yourself back to me, because I don't want to deal with it, and she's got Foggy apparently tailing Jessica, which is weird, but it's what she does. So you got that going on.
From Nancy in the chat. Is Kung Lun the same place Dr. Strange studied at? Who got that?
I don't know.
I don't think Igor. It was Pete. Igor, help us out here. Where did Dr. Strange study?
It wasn't Kunlun, but
I didn't think it was.
Now I'm losing the freaking name too, but it was a different installation.
If you guys are watching this after our live chat, put that in the comments. Let us know where. We'll Google it later, I'm sure. But hit us up. You guys make sure you also make sure you guys like, subscribe. Thank you for joining us in the chat as well. And also check us out on a couple other things. Nerd Mosh Pit is out there. You guys can hit me up with Big Papa Matt on that as well. But yeah, if you guys figure that out, answer some questions for our chat room. We'd really appreciate that.
A couple more things from the chat. Marley Boss says the architect Jessica Jones is looking for is kind of a MacGuffin.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Beacon says that Jessica's always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Always. If there is a wrong place to be, Jessica Jones will be there.
That's sort of her MO. That's her.
It's sort of
the way she works.
No, and what's funny is, go.
She's nearly Dirk Gently, just ending up in the right place, the wrong place at the right time.
She's way more upset about it.
If a case comes to her, man, that's gonna be important somehow, and it's gonna be a pain. But yeah,
it is.
The training place of Doctor Strange was Kamar-Taj.
It starts with a K.
Thanks for yelling at us, everybody out there that's been watching. And make sure to send all hate mail to mest.5150@gmail.com. We would appreciate that.
Yay. But this episode ends with Jessica has come back to her apartment. She finds her friend Malcolm, in case y'all forgot about Malcolm. She finds her friend Malcolm being held hostage by the guy with the architect at gunpoint. Architect shoots himself. I don't know who it is that comes in. Somebody else comes in because Jessica Jones is chasing him down the street, and then she runs into Misty and gets arrested. And then her and Matt meet up at the end because he comes in as her lawyer. I'm assuming that Foggy sent him there as he was tailing her.
Either Foggy or Hogarth, yeah.
One of the two sent Matt there to get her out of that scrape. And so then we have Jessica and Matt meeting. Boom, episode ends, jumping to episode 3.
Absolutely.
So.
And I really like that interaction. I just, the two of them together, him not acknowledging who he is, she just being her. Like, Jessica is a force. And if you don't have the right approach to her, you're not getting anything. And he's trying to be so helpful. He's trying to be, he's trying to be pro bono Matt Murdock, just out there to help somebody. And he's been tipped that this is a girl to help. And she wants none of it. I love it.
To go back to the chat room real quick, Marley Bot, we did forget to bring up that Elektra was actually resurrected in this episode, but she was not the hot potato that Marley called her. She was limp potato.
She'd been
Elektra was in the first episode.
Episode 1.
Was she in the episode 1? Yeah. So she has been resurrected.
Back again.
And but she really didn't come into play for me until the 3rd episode. She was just
Danny,
kind of,
yes,
she was just kind of there in the other two, doing her little screechy thing, eating some food, putting on some clothes, it was like, she was just kind of there for me. But so jumping into the 3rd episode, everyone meets up finally. It really starts to take off, and some really good stuff happened in this episode. For me personally, in the very beginning, Matt brings up the topic with Jessica you don't talk about, and he brings up Kilgrave. He's like, I know what happened. I know what you did. I know it was weird. And I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to push her to say, like, I get the weirdness. So if you want to share the weirdness, I will understand the weirdness. Right. But you said the word that shuts her down like nobody's business. And
which was timey-wimey?
Timey-wimey, yeah. The other thing, too.
Interesting point. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Go.
The point brought up by Nancy, she thought that Rosario Dawson's character was the one that sent Matt to be the lawyer.
That is possible. I mean, Dawson knows everyone. She's the one link between them all right now.
Claire was the running thread between all 4 seasons, so it's entirely possible.
It is entirely possible.
Actually, I think she called.
I don't know, honestly, if they covered it or not. But the one thing we did forget is Stick. Stick is held captive by the hand. And ironically enough, he gets away from the hand by cutting off his hand.
Does Stick remind anybody else of Kung Fu?
Yes.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wandering the earth. Yeah.
Only
that guy.
10 times more douchey. 10 times more douchey.
Very much.
Big Papa, favorite thing about episode 3? What was your favorite point in episode 3?
I mean, it was obviously the fight when everybody gets together there in the office building. I mean, it just doesn't get cooler when all of them kind of get together and start fighting with each other and the enemy. And it was great. I mean, those are the moments nerds live for, that people that love these types of series, that love superheroes like this, that was the moment that people live for, to watch that fight scene. There were flaws with it, absolutely, but man, did it just get all the nerd boners and failures and everything just was going off.
I got the little chills.
Everybody's arms stand up and go, this is what you want to see. That was a great part for sure.
Yeah,
and it was in a hallway. which was fantastic.
in a hallway. What about you, Igor? What was your favorite part about episode 3?
Yeah, I'd have to say, I'd have to say Danny rocking up and saying, "All right, I'm in your house. What up, hand?" That I felt like it was. I really like. Again, I have to repeat my point too. So, I felt like his show suffered from them succeeding in selling him the way they wanted it, exactly the way they wanted to sell him. But at the same time, it did mean payoff moments like that really were just awesome as a result, because you felt like you really felt like, oh shit just got serious.
That is, yeah,
Sure.
It did. You knew something epic was about to happen. Was it going to be epic good, or was it going to be epic bad? All right. What about you, IC?
Well, I just the fact that when they walked into the boardroom, like, we were expecting Danny to confront some big bad power, some corporate entity. We didn't expect the actual head of the hand to be there, like the thumb. I guess she would be the most important part of the hand.
The soggy thumb. The soggy thumb.
No, they all kind of break in there, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna put my corporate thing on the table," and she's like, "Oh, you're cute. By the way, we're about to wreck you."
Exactly.
I loved that. It was
she
just
was
ended
great.
That hallway fight scene was rad.
It was.
Yeah.
And since you guys covered the boardroom pretty good, what was so epic about that for me, the thing that sticks out is I don't even remember if this happened in 2 or 3, but I think this did happen in 3. I have it written down. When Luke Cage went to the mother of Cole after he's in prison, I cried when she gets that phone call that her baby has been killed, and she breaks down and just is crying, all my babies are dead, all my babies are dead. That was hard. That actress, I don't know who that actress is. I know I've seen her in stuff before, but she broke your heart in that scene. Absolutely broke your heart in that scene.
Should have been, what's her name, Audrey, or it should have been Tara's mom from True Blood, like that. What's her name? Audrey something. I don't know. That like, she was amazing. Yeah. I very rarely see good crying like that on TV.
Yeah, I mean, she only had one scene.
Yeah, and she stole it.
And it stole the episode. I mean, it was brilliant acting, and brilliant by Luke to play it, off, because, I mean, he didn't really know the kid. Honestly, he didn't, and so to play that off, it was a brilliant scene. I mean, just on pure character.
Yeah.
But for him, that didn't matter whether he knew him or not. That's just part of his character. He's defending Harlem, and that kid was Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of love that about him. Like I said at the very start, the guy, he's got his purpose. He's defending the people of his neighborhood. I love it.
Well, he's a protector is the thing, right? He's the shield of this team. Like, that's what Luke Cage is. And he's the shield. He is the protector. And what he does is he protects those from his neighborhood, the people he cares about, which is that neighborhood. And he does. That's what I want. Like I talked about in the beginning. Like, that's what he does so well. When Danny's looking at this big picture with the hand, and others are doing the same thing. Jessica just wants to be away from it. Luke still keeps everybody focused on who are we really here? What are we really doing? We're here to save people. So let's save people. And let's protect them while we do that. So Jack also brought up a great point, and I 100% agree with him on it, and that's the only reason I want to drop it, because first of all, he wants all hate mail to jack.malice at gmail.com, sorry. And then
I can agree with that.
Yeah, and then also Sigourney Weaver, man, like, her setup in that scene, like, this is where she gets one of those great, wonderful monologue moments that just, I mean, just the screen.
Talking about the symphony scene?
I mean, it just can't get off of her. You just cannot get away from her on that.
She does not get to play evil, but oof.
No, she killed it.
All of it.
I mean,
all of it.
She was. I mean, I liked the other parts of the hand in the other series, but I felt like she just put them all to shame. I mean, Gao and the other little Japanese guy, and I don't even remember who else there was, but I just felt like she put them all to shame. I don't know what it was. Maybe they should put her in horrible clothes more often, because it seemed to bring it all out of her.
Just wrap her in as much wool as you can.
Yeah.
they wouldn't let her look
Um,
good, so she's like, "Well, time to put on the acting chops." As Lois, let me save
No.
this
Absolutely.
rag right here.
if they're not going to make me look, the best in my clothes, then because I don't know what it was, all those high necks were killing me. Um, but
She looked like some
I
kind of
kinda- I-
stormtrooper in that first outfit. She really did.
Yeah.
Stop
No, you
talking
said it
about
earlier.
my lady
What was
like
it?
that, man. Stop talking about her like that. How dare you?
Well, I thought your lady was Brienne. Come on.
Hey, we're in a different show now.
No,
I
but-
can have another lady. For that, okay? And yes, Econ,
polygamy.
First lady
I
is
get it. I get
badass. The first lady of badass every time.
Absolutely. No, that she is the most badass actress pretty much of all time. I feel like she's been underutilized in this show. They don't give her
Well,
enough to do.
We'll talk about that in the next episode of Malice
Yeah.
Cast Defenders, episode 4 through 5.
yeah,
or
4
6,
through
whatever
6
it is.
or whatever.
Yeah, because you're right. You're absolutely right. I see, Zora. You're 100% correct.
I will say though, my personal favorite scene about the boardroom fight, when you get there, you got Danny, he's doing his thing, they're shooting the blowguns at him, whatever, blah blah blah. But then Luke walks in and the music instantly changes, and it is like Ghetto Fight 101, where he just walks in and he's like, "I'm here."
Mm.
I'm
I
bringing
always
the
love.
music
I
with me.
always love the music when Luke comes in.
And
Watching
it's
the
just-
Luke Cage season, there's one song from that I listened to repeatedly, consistently still, which was "Long Live the Chief."
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. But the minute he walked in and that music started playing, I like sat up a little straighter and I'm like, okay, now it's about to go down. And they did. I mean, I'll agree with Jack Malice. He's pointed out a couple times the cinematography when they shoot the Luke Cage fight, so that the shooting under him, making him look giant, probably not needed. He is a big boy already. You shoot him normal. But they did the one thing where they're shooting the guns at him and he's standing in front of Danny and he's just taking all the bullets. That was pretty awesome.
And that was the thing that I wanted to come in earlier when Matt was talking about Luke, was that Luke is also the defender of the defenders. He's the guy that when the other non-invulnerable people get shot at, he pulls them and he steps in front of them. He did it a couple of times in these 3 episodes. Yeah. Like he's like, look, I'm not going to get hurt. So, all right, cool.
Yeah. And
I love that.
He stands there like a wall. And so that was pretty awesome.
I kind of
want him to protect me.
I have to throw in on that too, because I love that, Matt, you started off with the good metaphor, and Zorro, you talked about the literal application, because one of my favorite parts, probably my favorite part of the entire thing, is for each of you, if you're rewatching any of it, and for you at home in the audience, if you're not finished watching it or just starting it, watch the fight choreography so closely, because it starts off not only cool looking and just gets cooler, but they slip in so much for you in the way of sneaky little character development notes through battle. Luke is there. Look at the fact that I do apologize, but 2 seconds. Look, Luke is their shield so much that here's the guy who could always walk in and throw fools out the window. And what does he do? He just stands there until the shooting stopped to make sure that everybody behind him is okay. He does not look after what he wants to do. He looks after the people, literally the people behind him first.
That's who he is.
You're getting that expressed, but that's why I love it. You're getting that expressed through the fight choreography. That is awesome.
I totally agree.
And I'm serious. Keep watching. Keep watching. There's more.
And I need to rewatch yet again, because I want to know. I need to look at the fight choreography to see, because the fight choreography for each separate series was so different. I want to see if they kind of meld it together towards the end of the series. I think that would be an interesting thing to look.
I could spoil, but I won't.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
That's fair. Wrestle with my freaking camera. Sorry. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, but definitely the little lead in with Jessica and Matt going up Matt grabbing her scarf, putting it on, and then taking off and running up the stairs, being all
you
ninja.
Look like an ass. Your scarf.
Yeah, yes. But the perfect timing of her coming out the elevator, walking out as he's running up, and she's just like, "Dude, you look like such an ass." And he's like, "Well, it's your scarf," and that's not what she's talking about. It's the fact that he ran up the stairs like a crazy person when he could have just taken the elevator and gotten there at the same time. But the fight between Daredevil and Elektra was probably the best of that. It was best shot,
Heartfelt.
I guess.
Yeah.
Most heartfelt, yeah. Because I actually didn't know. Did he know that he was fighting Elektra in that moment, or
Not right until the very end of the fight. It's right at the
Okay.
end of the fight where she uses some move that they have probably practiced together before, where he goes, Elektra?
yeah,
And you're like, oh no.
yeah.
Yep.
So that sets up obviously his mindset going into episode 4, which we'll talk about next cast. But I thought just cinematography wise, that was just the best. I mean, they have the best moves out of all of them. They're the best fighters out of all of them. So it was really cool to watch.
And Daredevil has always been the most beautifully choreographed of the rest of the shows. It was just watching Matt fight is fun.
Yeah.
I know
Well, that's
Danny's got
so
all his he's got his whatever, his kung fu, but Matt's fun to watch.
All right.
But that just seems so weird about all this, where it was absolutely how much fun he was watching. I talked about earlier, where it felt like he was the only one working on his choreography for these fights. But what was even weirder is it feels like everything is still so kind of segmented and they're so different. And did they have different writers on this show for different people? Like, it just, nothing felt cohesive early on, especially. And then it got, and we'll talk about in other shows how much worse that got. But it still felt like they were small portions. They were still trying to. It didn't. Nothing really meshed well early on.
They were trying to conglomerate all the writers from the previous shows.
Yeah, it still felt like
very
Jessica Jones had her writers, and Iron Fist had his writers, and it just did not seem well. And maybe that's the acting, the differences, or something like that. Where whatever it was, I definitely have a lot of complaints about some of that. But it was rough. It was rough for some of that.
We'll have to.
I see what you're saying.
On that. Yeah, and see, because that is a good point. Maybe they did. I wonder if they did bring in each individual writers and didn't get a whole separate cast for each episode. If they tried to mesh, like you said. So that's interesting. We'll do some research on that and talk about that in the next cast. Any final thoughts for this episode in particular? Anything that really stood out to you, or
I just love the fact that they're all together and the whole.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a little bit. Just the whole busting into the boardroom, everybody coming to the same conclusion that they need to be in Midland Circle at the same time. Little Deus Ex Machina, but just real fun to watch. And that hallway scene, it was designed to be the best part of the episode, and it just was.
It was. And the little banter too, just Jessica, Luke. Yeah. Oh, Jessica, how you been? Long story. Who's he? Longer story. It
Absolutely.
worked, so it did feel like, okay, this is where it's going to take off. And yeah, there will be flaws, as the Big Papa Matt pointed out. And we will touch on those going forward.
Flaws.
Into the next episode. But it was just a fun little moment to see them all finally come together, and now we go from here. So,
Pete, what'd you think?
Oh, I mean,
I'm sorry,
when
Igor.
we're talking episode 3, whoever I am, for episode 3, it was the just cuddly wuddly personalities of Matt and Jessica slamming into each other again and again. That was probably my favorite my favorite running theme. The favorite moment was definitely Danny entering the boardroom, but the running theme was just Matt and Jessica. And speaking of Matt, my other favorite part about this is, hey Matt, thanks for another awesome setup, because I am going to have to give you a rebuttal next episode.
Save it for next episode. We got some good stuff coming for you. This is not the end. We are going to be doing episodes 4, 5, and 6 in our next cast. Not sure yet when that's going to be, but I will definitely let you all know when that's coming. It is Labor Day weekend, so I hope everyone's having a good, safe holiday weekend out there. And but otherwise, I guess we're going to start wrapping this up, and then we will. We'll let you all know when the next cast is going to be. So where can we follow everyone? Icy Zorro.
I'm at Icy Zorro. At Icy Zorro on Twitter and Instagram. That's all.
You're like, that's me. That's where I am. What about you, Pete or Igor? Where can we follow you at?
Yep.
Harris_Doubledown, like Double Down with no W, on twitch.tv and or PlayStation Network. Speaking of which, any Destiny players out there, watch for Malice Core Clan to be marching forth against the darkness.
Oh yeah, that's going to be some good times coming up ahead with some Destiny. All right, Big
What do you
Papa,
guys-
where can we follow you?
What are you?
Oh, sorry, go
right
ahead.
now, Igor. Are you doing PC? What are you doing? PS4, Xbox One? What are you doing?
PS4, usually No Man's Sky or Fallout 4, the big adventures.
Cool. Well, there you guys go. Big Papa Matt, the Big Papa Matt on Twitter as well as Instagram. You guys can hit me up and follow Nerd Mosh Pit on Instagram as well. Nerd Mosh Pit, I'm sorry, on Twitter, not Instagram. Please let us know, hit us up. But you also hit us up, nerdmoshpit@gmail.com. Find us on iTunes and Stitcher. We just had episode 12 post early last week. We'll be recording next episode Tuesday night, where we'll be talking a lot more fun stuff. And we just have a lot of fun. We throw it all in there, but we make sure people understand what it's about, having fun, picking up those who fall around us. And that's kind of what the Mosh Pit's all about. Also, if you guys would as well, I know we talked a little bit about it on our last cast on yesterday night, but please, if you were in any devastation from Tropical Storm Harvey out there, hopefully you've sought shelter, you've found shelter, send relief, get relief. If you guys have shared with anything, donated anything, thank you all so much for that. Please reach out any way you can to help those that have been struck by that tragedy.
Definitely. I am sure we all out there have someone that we know in Texas, or someone, friend, family, whatever. I know I've got a sister myself out there. I've got aunts, I've got uncles. So it's definitely not a joking matter. If you can give, even if it's just food, water, bottled water, they're running out of that stuff down there. So anything you can do to help, please do it.
Pets, need to take care of stray or lost pets.
Exactly.
There's huge animal shelter stuff set up for that. I don't want to minimize what he said with the Houston stuff, but also, like, I've recently started listening to Nerd Mosh Pit. It's delightful.
It is a good time. I listen to it sometimes. It's the only thing that keeps me sane on my drive to work. I listen
to it in my car, and it's rad.
So it's a good time. Speaking of good time, come follow me on Twitter at SuperHoovy and Nut. We're always having a good time. I'm always talking to celebs on there. I got some preacher. We got some good preacher commentary on Monday nights, talking with Malcolm Barrett and Julianne Emery. When Supernatural's on, I'm talking with David Hayden Jones, even though he's not on the show anymore. And speaking of that, we will be doing some Supernatural. We got CW cast coming up soon, because the CW shows are coming back. Me and IC Zoro are definitely going to be doing Supernatural. So come, if you want to talk some Supernatural, we will be there. We will be laughing. We will maybe crying, because it's Supernatural.
SuperHoovian has got the deep knowledge.
Yeah.
I've got the most recent knowledge, because I'd never seen the show until this summer. I streamed the whole thing this time, honestly, she was the one that walked me through it. So I am the encyclopedia here of Supernatural lore, facts, history. If Beth is still in the chat room, I don't know if she's still in the chat room. She may have fallen asleep, but if she's still in the chat room, Beth may be joining us as well, trying to get her on that train, that choo-choo train.
So good that Wikipedia cites you as a source for that.
It should. Dang it, it should.
It should. It really should. From the way she walked me through the entire series, it should.
So it looks like we have one person that's excited. Jason Lee in the chat room. He's reviewing that.
Yeah.
But all PC. Again, not just Supernatural though. We're going to be doing all the CW shows, all your favorites: Supergirl, iZombie, Arrow, Flash. We're going to finally get Jack Malice back out on the camera to talk some Flash. Hey, there's Beth. Yeah, she says, aha. She's going to be doing the Supernatural with me and IC. So we got some good stuff coming up for you here at Malice Corp. But otherwise, we are going to be wrapping up for the night. Nice. Ha. This is a sign that we need to end it, because I'm starting to slur my words. So it was fun talking with all y'all. Glad y'all came out. Glad y'all had a good time. And we will see you next time for Defenders Part 2. Everyone, peace out. Stay nerdy out there. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Love you. Thanks for